Hello, welcome to 5x5. There was no 5x5 last week because 5x5 last week was supposed to be... Basically, there was something we had planned, and with the baby and like super tiredness and everything else, that we tried recording it a couple of times. It really didn't work, and anyway, I was tired. I was, we were both exhausted. There were a million other things to do, and as much as I've promised that I'm just going to do this every week and stuff like that, with everything else that there was to do, I just went, it doesn't matter. What? This week, no 5x5. It doesn't make any difference. I'm just not going to put one up. It's not like I'm going to be disappointing an awful lot of people. There just aren't many people that watch this. If you remember, if you've been watching right since the beginning of 5x5, when I first started doing this, I tried to explain, and I'm going to do this, from time to time, just kind of reiterating what it was that this is about in the meantime, because... So I have the gaming channel, okay? I have Nights Arcade, which has become, which found success quite quickly, and... then dropped off dramatically when I had to take a month off to sort everything else here and, my regular job and getting everything here fixed. I thought we were going to have a major sort of blackout, I guess, when the baby came along. So far, that hasn't been the case, but it's only not been the case because it just so happens that the game I'm doing on the channel at the moment... It's a mechanic of the game itself that it only works in 22-minute time loops. And that makes it really, really easy not to get carried away or, not to go, well, I'm going to make this video on this, people want to see this in this video, and I'm going to make that a little bit more complicated. So at the moment, we're sticking to Outer Wilds because it's a relatively new game. It's only like a month old now, well, since its main release. It does these 22-minute time loops, so it's easy, you have a definite cut-off point each time. It's fun, and, I'm just going to hope that it gets us through the worst period where the baby is awake very, very often and needs feeding, so, you can't... I don't have those massive spans of sort of free time to record. I can't put my headphones on and sit, because I need to be up with him. So, that's the gaming channel. And here is where I used to play around making, little short films and things like that, and just play around with stuff. And I want to keep the Sleepless Night channel going. I always did. And I wanted to make stuff like that further down the road at some point, put other things on here, when I got camera gear. Whether I'll ever have the time for that, I don't know. But the other thing is, it was a placeholder. So 5x5 was kind of a placeholder to let you know what was going on, and so that I could link people across from Nights Arcade who wanted to see what was going on in my everyday life. And also, eventually, this. This is... So, right, okay? If you weren't familiar, or you weren't here at the beginning, this is the first novel I ever wrote. I've written short stories and things since, and I've written dozens of short stories and things like that beforehand, but this is the first and so far only novel I've ever written, and I think it's pretty good. It's obviously, you're going to get a lot of writers saying that, and I have my moments of doubt, like any other author, really. But I'm not saying this is literary greatness. It definitely is not. But it's an awful lot better than the other kind of stuff people are shoveling down their throats out there. And I think it's fairly funny in places and a pretty good book. So the idea is to slowly build an audience to the point where I feel as though I can put this novel out there online. On my blog, it'll probably be out there for free for people to read. It's the only novel I've written so far. I'm planning to write another one. I've got my notepads out and I'm starting to sketch out character notes and things like that. But with everything else that's going on in my life at the moment, it's probably going to be a while before I get round to that. But I do have an idea. Well, that's all I ever have are ideas. But that's what we're going to do. So, yeah, a little bit of burnout today. Nothing's really going my way. But I thought I'd put a 5x5 out there. So I'll see you next week.